Hi everyone, welcome once again to the 24-bit podcast, and today I have with me the usual suspects.
Dickson, Otieno, techish.com.
And Kanali from Tech Trends.
I'm Chenze Emmanuel. I write at andwithkenya.com, and we are having this podcast recording is it a week or two?
Yeah, should be a week and a half, I think.
Yeah, since Safaricom did its quote-unquote 5G commercial launch in Nairobi. So essentially, if you've been following this podcast, I think we've covered Safaricom and 5G at least twice before. Yes. We've covered 5G, we've covered what Safaricom is doing with 5G, and today we're extending that discussion to even cover a lot more aspects about 5G that we've not covered before. But first things first, a refresher. Safaricom has been running tests on the 5G network that it plans to roll nationwide. They said by the end of next year?
Yes, end of next year, end of 2023.
Yeah, that they hope to have rolled out countrywide by the end of 23. So they've been running those tests publicly since sometime last year, April last year. Yeah, so since April last year, and before then they were running closed betas for quite a bit. So between April last year and now, it's almost a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Somewhere there, that's around that timeline. So they've made lots of steps. When they started out, there was 5G coverage in Nairobi, in Kisii, in Kakamega. Where else?
We got a connection in Amboseli, remember?
Yeah, Oltukai. Yeah, there was a 5G test site in Oltukai. Like basically, I think they covered at least 5 towns in 5 counties, something like that. So they've gathered enough data, they've had enough test cases, use cases, all those kinds of things. But by the time we're recording this, 5G network coverage in the country is at a point where they can afford now to take the discussion a little further. And how they're taking the discussion a little further is in an interesting way, as we are going to dissect this. First things first, there are 2 approaches to accessing mobile networks. If I'm to take you back, right now we are mostly, when using mobile networks, we're mostly on 4G. If you have to look at what's offered under 4G, there's the 4G network you get on your phone. And if say you're in an area where you don't get a fixed internet subscription, by fixed internet subscription we mean services like Safaricom fiber or GTL fiber, not the mobile network, or what Liquid Telecom have,
the high,
those kinds of things. So if you don't have those, Safaricom has been offering people this option of 4G home. 4G for home. What is it called? 4G for home?
4G Wi-Fi for home.
Yeah, 4G Wi-Fi for home. So
and for businesses.
And for businesses. So that kind. No, if you picture the typical use cases of a home, those use cases are many. These days we have CBC. Watoto wanafanya lots of research, printing lots of things. And just a few years ago, we were in the thick of the pandemic, and there was a lot of learning from home. Now there's learning from home, there's working from home, and there's the entertainment aspect. Everyone wants to get from Netflix and everything. So when you look at a typical home, the internet needs actually many. And if you don't have Safaricom fiber or any other form of fixed internet, where do you go? So for most people, what Safaricom has been offering them has been 4G for home, and for businesses also 4G for businesses. So that is what Safaricom has now taken as per the launch that some of us attended here. That's what Safaricom has taken, and they're introducing in the market as the first interaction for most early adopters for 5G, because we still have limited 5G test sites. Safaricom mentioned a number during the launch. What was that number?
I covered some of the in an article, the areas where 5G is accessible in Kenya. Nairobi, you have the Kilimani area, around Yaya, all those Kilimani apartments. Then you have Langata, where it's accessible in near Uhuru Gardens, South Sea, Rongai, around Westlands near the Safaricom HQ. Then Kiambu, you have bigger coverage because you have Kiambu town, Ruaka, Ruiru, Juja. Juja is in Thika. Then Machakos, you have Athi River, Kamulu. Then Kajiado, Oloitoktok. Then Kisumu. Actually, I think Kisumu has a bigger coverage because Kisumu has coverage from Kiboswa to Maseno University to the airport area to the Kisumu bus station and the Mamboleo estate.
Kakamega as well.
Then Kakamega, you have around Sichirai. Kisii, you have the whole of Kisii CBD. Mombasa, you have Likoni near Mombasa Hospital and Fort Jesus. So if you live near those areas, ideally, if you have a 5G ready phone, you can be able to access the internet in 5G. But if you want 5G Wi-Fi, you can also buy 5G Wi-Fi for home.
Actually, the number of sites are actually 35 active 5G sites.
And they're targeting getting to 200.
Yeah, by actually March 2023.
Good.
Yeah.
So from 35 all the way to 200, that's almost 4 times.
Yeah, that's 4
an
times.
increase of 4 times. So that's what they're looking at now. Since we are at 35 right now, for most people, for most of us, it's really not practical to get 5G on your phone. Of course, there are 2 barriers. Number one, you need a phone that can access 5G, and those phones, as far as we know and the knowledge that we've been sharing with you online, exist in 2 dimensions. There are those that will need a software update to come, so specific Samsung models and some iPhones, right? They'll need a specific software update in to be able to access 5G. And then there are those that are in the market already where you can use 5G, like these Xiaomi phones.
I did a TikTok, or I collected all the phones I have that are 5G. Only Oppo and Xiaomi currently access Wi-Fi 5G easily. Infinix, it shows the 5G option, but it still shows 4G on the top. Techno, the same. I can't remember. Samsung will need updates, and Apple will need updates. Yeah. And I am guessing the Apple update is coming soon because they announced that 5G is coming to India in December. So I'm thinking they will sort of do the update similar to Kenya, I hope. Or maybe they require more coverage for 5G to be enabled. I don't understand. Yeah.
So with such a backdrop, for most people, 5G access is still limited. So the way while Safaricom works on increasing its coverage, how it's going around that is first addressing the heavy users, because they're the ones who are best placed to really benefit from anything 5G. Because as we understand, 5G means higher bandwidth, throughput, faster speeds, right? So what are you going to use those speeds for? So if you're in a household and you say you've been using 4G for home, those people could benefit from faster speeds for their Netflix, Vituka, So that's where Safaricom is starting, and as a result, they're offering what they're calling 5G for home.
5G for
5G Wi-Fi for home. Now, before we get to 5G Wi-Fi for home, if we are to, there's one thing from our last podcast on 5G and what Safaricom is doing with 5G. One of our concerns was 5G will only make sense if, say, we get a killer deal on 5G devices. Like we had the Ideos for 3G. And for 4G, Safaricom has been pushing the kickers, right?
The neon kickers.
Yes.
And you remember when 4G launched, they did the 300 bob per day for access, all day access. Yeah.
So one of the things I picked up from Safaricom's statement at the launch was that they have plans underway to provide 5G phones through Lipa Mdogo.
Financing.
So Lipa Mdogo is this program we've covered before on our blogs, where you could pay as little as 20 bob
for the kicker.
To own a phone, right? So that I think will help boost uptake of 5G, because it's helped boost uptake of 4G.
Exactly.
When Peter Ndegwa took over, I think the uptake of 4G in the country was at 20%. Right now
it should be very, very way higher. Let me just check.
I remember it being just a fifth of what we were getting on the network, and that's been tremendous progress. I'm trying to check, because I extensively obsess over this.
You have an article on the same.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to look for that article.
According to the Communication Authority of Kenya, 4G coverage across the country is 94%.
Yes, 94.
Safaricom says that 4G penetration is at 77%, while 3G serves 94% of its customers. That's from Kanali's Tech Trend.
I remember they had to release those figures when we were heading to elections.
And the statement that Peter Ndegwa issued at the launch of the 5G Wi-Fi for home, the commercial launch of Safaricom's 5G, was that there is only a third of consumers in the country have 4G sets. Yes, that's the improvement, because it used to be a fifth.
Oh yeah, I remember even tweeting that. Then yes.
It used to be a fifth. So if you are to look at that, there's been campaigns between 2019 and now I think they started in 2018 or was it 19, when the first kicker came, the first neon kicker, like when the company was what, Maisha ni Digital. Yeah. That has helped uptake, and then we along the line is when we got Lipa Mdogo Mdogo. So I think there'll be quite some difference when this Lipa Mdogo Mdogo comes over to 5G. Now, we've talked so much about the conventional 5G as we know it. Let's talk about the specifics of this commercial launch for 5G. We're getting 5G Wi-Fi for home, 5G Wi-Fi for business. Being people who are at the launch, how would you explain 5G Wi-Fi for home to somebody who's listening?
Okay, Kanali.
Okay, I'm trying to remember.
I think I can go with the idea of there are three solutions to accessing internet. Where is the article I did years ago? There are 3 solutions to accessing internet. You can access internet via home fiber, or you can access internet from your phone network. So if you live in an area where there's home fiber, the fiber cable is physically pulled into your house, connected to a router, and you can access internet either via Ethernet or Wi-Fi. It's your choice. Then you can also buy bundles on your phone
And hotspot.
and hotspot your phone to other devices. But then there was the option that Safaricom introduced, and other companies have also been doing, where you buy a router that accesses the internet wirelessly, so via 4G. So that was the 4G home internet router. Now, the new 5G home internet router will come into your house if you live in a 5G area, and it will connect to the 5G signals in your area to give you internet access. So you have a router in your house that connects you to the 5G signal via Wi-Fi to your devices. So you don't need to have a 5G phone to access the 5G network in your area. Yeah.
I mean, basically just works the same way you have the 4G. I mean, we have the normal, home fiber routers we currently have. But now that this time we are getting 5G routers, yeah? It's just the same way.
It's the same way the 4G router was accessing 4G networks and converting that to Wi-Fi signal.
It's the same way.
The router will be accessing 5G network, converting it to a Wi-Fi signal that your phone or your laptop or your TV can access.
And while I understand how it works, somebody else who's listening to this might not. But those other devices don't need to be able to be the 5G network capable to get, because it's a normal Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
I wish we will talk about this later. So I wanted to say, I wish we knew if the routers are sub-6, what is it called, Wi-Fi 6, 2.4. You can say, we will talk about it later on.
Now, the elephant in the room is still those routers.
I know, of course, yeah. I know where you're heading, but yeah, go on.
Sorry. Can you break down now that you've told me all about it? If I was to go out there, say, and get it, I'm in a 5G zone in an area with 5G network coverage, and I want this high-speed network in my house so that my TV can connect. My children doing homework can be able to do that. All these kinds of things. What options are there for me, and what does that take?
So Safaricom introduced 5G Wi-Fi packages. There's basic, there's standard, and there's extra. And the packages are limited in speed, so 10 Mbps, 40 Mbps, and 100 Mbps. And
is this where we mentioned the also fair usage? I mean, the caps are there still.
Yeah, there's also fair usage, but they did not explain what speeds you're getting after fair usage. Yeah. They said you'll still be able to access the connection after you reach your limit.
Yeah.
And to access these speeds, you'll need to buy a router.
And
and the router is quite expensive at 25,000, but you can get it for free under a 36-month contract. So if you live in a 5G area, you need Wi-Fi and you need it to be fast. The option is to buy the router or get into a contract with Safaricom for 36 months. How many months is 36? How many years are 36
3
months?
3 years.
3 years.
But point to note, they're saying this will be subject to credit vetting and terms and condition of the contract.
Yes.
So not just anyone can actually.
I think it's where you they will evaluate your credit score, and then give you the router for 36 months.
Yes.
I think it's also based on if you'll be able to pay for connection throughout the 36-month period.
And there's also the setup
Delivery.
fee of 5,000 bob, which covers delivery and setup of the router, as well as provision and registration of the SIM card to be used in your 5G router.
What I am not sure about is that setup fee. You remember when Safaricom introduced setup fee for home fiber? Yeah, some people are still not being charged the setup fee.
Yeah.
For example, my neighbor signed up for Safaricom fiber and they weren't charged for the router. No, like nobody asked charges for the router.
Yeah.
And I covered an article where Safaricom will refund the setup fee after, was it 3 months or?
I even thought actually when you're switching houses, they're supposed to come, you have to pay. Is it, I had something like that. You have to pay to be reconnected. I don't know. But I mean, everything is...
No. I've switched houses. I have never...
Yeah, me too.
I've never needed to pay.
It's
if you are not, you'd pay if you are not moving with your router.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are those instances.
Yes.
So one of the things I'd want to know is what this 5,000 shillings does, because delivery, I get the delivery bit, but shouldn't there be an option where I say I'm close to a Safaricom shop, I can just walk in and get it so that they don't get charged delivery, right? Shouldn't there be such an option? And then the setup, how complicated is the setup? Shouldn't this thing be plug and play? And shouldn't the SIM card be embedded so that it's activated on device per device, like they did with the later versions of the Safaricom Android box? But here is the kicker though. At this point, when we are recording this podcast, we've only seen demos of this router in use. We're actually going to get to use it, and then we'll come and share our experiences from the setup, kila kitu, so that we have this information at our fingertips, because right now we are trying to rationalize what it takes to have this router in your home. And at least at this point, since this router doesn't come cheap, 25,000 shillings is a lot of money. Then you're going to add 5,000 shillings for the setup.
And that's basically 30 G's you're spending. Yeah.
And then you've just gotten the router, had it delivered, and had it set up. For it to serve you, you actually need to subscribe to a package. Yeah. The cheapest package, the basic one, where you get 10 Mbps, is 3,500, 34.99.
And the
fair usage is 300 GB. So at the very least, you're looking at a cost of 3,500 shillings.
For a setup with the basic speed.
Yeah, with the basic speed. And then from then on, your monthly cost, if you're staying with the basic package, is 3,500 shillings every other month. So in 10 months, that's 35K, and then 35. So that comes to 42,000 shillings per annum.
500 times 12.
Yeah, it's 42,000 shillings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So an annual cost of 42,000 shillings for internet. Yeah. I think that mirrors this 10 Mbps at 3,500 mirrors the entry level package for Safaricom on fiber before they doubled our speeds. Remember, 10 Mbps used to be...
it used to...
10 Mbps used to be quite...
when the taxes came in and all, I think it reached around there. So that's what we are looking at. So this is what it takes to get 5G. So the next question goes, at those pricing, what do you think? Who is this for?
First of all, you're paying early adoption fee. You're the first people to use 5G and to use the 5G signal. So I think, it's an adoption fee. You're an early adopter, you pay for early adoption. I was talking to a friend in Kisumu, living up in the hills where they don't have access to home fiber. And alikuwa anasema how the 4G, what is it called, 4G router for home was working for them, yes, but the speeds and the costs were not viable. For example, the 4G router for home, the router was 11K and the speeds were 3,500 for 3 Mbps or 5,000 bob for 5 Mbps. So they run a small hub, but away from the town area. So if you have a hub and you have people connecting to Wi-Fi every day, you'll want a connection that's unlimited. So you can see the prices are very high. 5 Mbps, 3,500 for 4G plus home internet. Now, seeing the 5G Wi-Fi for home, he was thinking that 10 Mbps at 3,500 is an upgrade to the 4G standard, because 4G was already 3 Mbps. Yeah. And then the fair usage at 300 GB was better, because on 4G plus, your once you had depleted your data, the speeds hakuna reduction of speed. It's depletion of data. Yeah. So
so this is better.
this is better. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't want to think maybe they use data points from that other experience.
Oh yeah.
For this one, because I remember when we started this whole 5G conversation, our concerns were two. One, it can only go, the same concerns we had with foldable devices. The 5G will only be mainstream in Kenya when people can actually access it in a device that's accessible. So we have the ADOs, we've had the kickers. What is going to be this 5G phone that almost everyone can buy? And then the other bit was going to be 5G is fast. Watu wamekuwa wakicomplain to Safaricom that their bundles are being stolen and everything. They are yet to meet 5G. una reload data hivi and it's gone in a flash. So how is Safaricom going? Exactly. So how is Safaricom going to approach this? Will they have 5G specific bundles? Now we've gotten a glimpse. We are likely going to see a lot more of this as the launch becomes more mobile centered. Compared to the commercial bit right now, but at least we know they are thinking along those lines. Nick, what's your view?
I think the prices are fair. Just as Dickson said, and as you said, maybe Safaricom learned from what they saw with the 4G.
Well, I'm not saying the prices are fair.
No, I mean
the opinion of
the opinion, yeah, but I believe they are fair actually. And at least this is actually based on, for example, what we've seen with 4G. And how much was 10 Mbps for the 4G?
10 Mbps.
Dickson had these Panda some time back. So the 4G
for home fiber.
For home fiber, I mean.
Home fiber 10 Mbps is now 20 Mbps. 5 Mbps became 8 Mbps. And so there's 8 Mbps for 2,999. Then there's 20 Mbps for 4,100.
Yeah.
Then there's the special package. You're testing it, sahi walikutumia the offer. 4,900.
Yes, they are calling it the silver upgrade.
Where you get
I had issues the other day because my subscription lapsed and I didn't know how to renew it, because that is not on the short code, it's not on the app. I called their helpline 400. I just needed to pay the same amount under my account and it reconnected. And it's nice.
And then they have the 40 Mbps, which is 5,000 something.
It should be more. I'm actually on your website, Dickson, and I'm looking at an article you did in 2020 about the 4G plus router. So if you're listening to this and you're actually a user of that router, basically everything you know about that router is what you're getting up for 5G Wi-Fi for home, but better speed. The same rate actually, because for that 500 they were getting 100 GB. For that 500 and the 5G Wi-Fi for home, you're getting 300 GB. So it's a better deal. The only caveat though is the cost of acquisition is high. So you will spend more than double to get the router, because the router with the SIM cost 11,000 shillings. Now you're going to pay 25k and you're going to pay a setup fee of 5k.
But there's the option of getting into a contract, which wasn't there with the 4G.
For the router.
Yeah, it's a nice thing, because now if you're going to say 12-month contract, is it 36 month contract? Because 25k, do 24, you're looking at a year, 12, then break that down to 36 months. It's actually manageable. You are looking at what, 800 bucks a month? Yeah.
But we never saw this with 4G routers. I mean, they're doing it for free, right?
No, it's because the cost was lower. The cost was lower. 4G coverage was almost everywhere. Like for someone like me, when I travel home where there is no fixed internet, I've never ever needed anything. I'll just take my phone to my laptop and I can watch the Premier League Evo, and it's fast enough. It streams in HD and good. So 4G has been good, but now that we are getting 5G, you're looking at more bandwidth, a router is much more capable. Look at how your phone would overheat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're looking at. And how long it will last on battery, being the same.
What I'm interested in figuring out is the CEO said by December they'll launch 5G bundles, 5G specific bundles to help adoption of the 5G network. So these bundles, you'll only be able to access them or use them when you're in a 5G zone. So if you buy them and your phone doesn't have 5G, I don't know how they'll do that. The same way, you remember the 4G bundles where you put your phone on 4G only and then you can browse the whole day. Yeah. So what I want to see is the Business Daily has said these bundles will be more expensive. I hope not.
Of course, it's going to be more expensive.
I'm actually looking at something else you did in 2019. Now,
About the Airtel router.
yeah, na tumetoka mbali. Jesus, this thing was being called a smart home. And look at what they were giving you. 100 GB for 4K.
Yeah, and I complained about it.
3K for 70 GB, 2K for all of 40 GB.
They called me and said I am destroying their business. I was like, I'm just complaining about.
Now, looking, it's been 3 years. Looking back, this was such a terrible deal. And also tells you how far we've come.
Yeah.
And then, even then, you're not assured of the network speeds. Actually, if you're listening to this podcast and you've been using Airtel's smart home,
It was called Airtel Smart Home Router. I complained about.
If you've been using the Airtel Smart Home Router, we'd want to hear what your experience has been, because it makes for very good comparison with what has since been available in the market. Because when this smart home was coming out, what Safaricom offered was the 4G router only. And then a year later, Safaricom refreshed that and offered 4G plus, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and now to Coco 5G. I'd want to know, and what's the fiber equivalent?
Fiber doesn't have a home router. You buy the MiFi.
Yeah, you have the
Just buy
MiFi. Yeah,
the MiFi. Yeah.
What?
It's quite expensive, actually, the MiFi.
I think what we need to also explain is that for many people, this option of 5G home Wi-Fi will look like a good option. One, after paying the setup fee or getting into a contract, you'll be accessing unlimited home internet. Yes, there's a fair usage limit, but the speeds are capped after that. It means you continue to access the network. For very many families or households living in areas where home fiber is not available, having an internet connection for the house is always very expensive because you have to buy bundles. You have kids, they want to watch something online. You have wageni or whatever. You have your own smart TV and you can't.
Then these days.
You have your smart home and you can't access like the smart features of all that.
Yeah.
Having the router in your house, which we will also talk about range and quality of the speeds, helps you have like a smart experience at home at a fee that's cheaper than buying bundles. So I guess for very many people, the cost over time will make sense. Yeah.
And probably that's we might be seeing a lot of people now starting to build smart homes and all that.
We were talking about home fiber packages where 8 Mbps is 3,000. 20 Mbps is 4,000, 40 Mbps is over 6,000, 100 Mbps is over 12K. So compare that to the new 5G, Safaricom 5G Wi-Fi, where 10 Mbps is 3.5, 40 Mbps is 6, and 100 Mbps is 15K. So the higher speeds are quite fairer compared to home fiber. Like they're almost the higher speeds, not the 10 Mbps speeds. I am hoping that Safaricom can do a 20 Mbps package later on.
I'm looking at the FAQs. So if you subscribe to the 300 Mbps package and pay the 3,500, when you deplete that, you get like
lower speed.
You are throttled. But if you don't want to be throttled, you can
actually buy it.
And then the other caveat is, though, at the end of the month, at the end of the 30 days, they expire. And they're not rolled over.
They're not rolled over.
So what I'd want to know is if I can extend my validity by
buying more. Yeah.
Instead of waiting for the auto renewal.
I think we can answer that in the next podcast.
Yeah. After we've experienced
they were not really clear about that during the launch. I mean, it's because no one really asked, but yeah, we can, once we experience the routers and see, we can actually
And for the avoidance of doubt, you need to be in a 5G area
yes,
yeah.
for this router
5G
to
rail
connect
zone.
to the network. Yeah.
The good thing is
yeah.
when you sign up or try to sign up, they will ask you a location and confirm availability of 5G in your area.
And how do you do that? How do you do the signing up?
Star 400.
Yeah, so basically like the way you've used this 5G for home and also
And
the way
home
you
fiber.
own fiber. And we've actually just dwelt on 5G for home, but this comes in the launch was the commercial launch of 5G. Because if you are a business and stuck somewhere where you don't have fixed internet, this is also for you, but it will be 5G Wi-Fi for business.
For
Right?
business,
Same
yeah.
packages,
Yeah.
same prices.
Yeah, same packages, same pricing. Okay, I think we've anything else we've left behind?
So what do you do if you deplete your allocated volume, data volume?
You get
can
throttled.
access,
Yeah.
You can still continue browsing, but at very slower speeds. Or you can just buy another bundle. If we have to call those packages bundles, you can just buy another bundle.
What do you think? What do you think? I wanted to ask to contribute by saying I think it will be nice to see later on in future 5G Wi-Fi packages that are tied, say, to postpay or something of that sort. Yeah. So for
If
someone
you get a singular bill,
yes,
yeah, like for instance, it will actually make sense if I got a bill for my postpaid calls
and all your
and
internet
data,
at home.
but also everything in one place actually would make a lot of sense.
Yes.
Because I still pay for all these things separately anyway. Interesting.
So if this can be put into one package for people where I get my 5G
and maybe we
Wi-Fi
even
at
get
home,
discounts. Like to be honest, if you say you package this, told me I get my usual postpaid 2K. So I get my usual items under postpaid 2K. I get my own fiber, and I get this 5G for 10K in a month. You know, that's a good deal for me.
yeah,
I'd give them. I'd give them because actually the one thing we haven't said here is, and I asked this question, I don't think I got an answer. Who is this for? Safaricom at this point is not targeting everyone. Everyone is already taken good care of under 4G.
Under 4G, exactly.
But if your needs are to that level where you'd appreciate the extra bandwidth, then this is for you. And being at that point means you're also willing and able to pay a higher fee. So if they amalgamated this, packaged it nicely, I think some of us would buy in.
Especially with the idea of the 36-month contract.
Yeah.
Where you get into a contract where you have your bundles on your phone and you have Wi-Fi at home. I think the sign-up process.
You know what you just described is something we said when we were discussing foldables. Sorry, by the time you're listening this, we are yet to publish that episode of foldables, but it's coming. That foldables are so damn expensive. What will make sense if we could get them under contract?
Yeah.
If somebody is spending 10,000 shillings a month on your service, you can actually afford to do what mobile network operators in Europe and the US do. Give them a free phone. And then how I would justify the phone is they're already giving you that much money. Because 12 months, that's 120,000 shillings. That's as high-end a phone as it gets in Kenya.
Yes.
You've covered any Samsung at that level, any iPhone at that level. And in 2 years, that person has given you almost 250, a 250,000 shillings.
Yes.
Basically.
And they will continue giving you that money until...
Yeah. So actually, what we are discussing now are the building blocks of offering phones on contract in Kenya. Where and not just phones, I can get a new phone every other year from Safaricom because of the services I consume. Because if you look at the pricing for the 5G routers and the packages, that 500 per month is actually good. I don't need uko ocha nitafutane na kwanza kusema mbona home fiber haijafika huko. When 5G coverage gets there, all I need is that router, and nikienda kwa nyumba yangu huko, I'm covered. I can stream my Premier League matches without any other extra expense. Because look at it this way, that 500 is cheaper than the cheapest DSTV compact subscription you need to watch football. Yeah, so that's how you look at it. And when you're not watching football, anyone else can stay on WhatsApp, can do their homework, can do other things.
And you don't
with
have
the
to buy
network.
bundles.
Yeah, you don't have to buy
Very
one.
many.
Like it's actually a game changer. We're not looking at it broadly, but when you look at it that way, they are onto something here, and it could be a nicer model.
And think of it this way: Safaricom is planning to have coverage all over the country by the end of next year, they say. So if you have say even 80% coverage of 5G by next year, a router for 5G Wi-Fi is portable. It's not like a home fiber router.
So you can carry it with
yes,
you,
you
actually.
can carry it
What a
home.
trip high.
And who knows, actually, maybe these prices can actually come down for the routers.
I think they
it even
will.
come
Like
down.
I said, it's early adoption fee, and I hope it is. Every business wants to make profits.
Can I make a request? See what tutafutie something that those people with cars can be plugging in your own moving thing instead of
like
where infotainment system can connect. Or like we've seen the cars that they drive on that other side of the world where they get the latest things. A lot of those come with a need to connect to a network. I don't know how that's going to be handled because much as what tuko miaka kadhaa nyuma, we will soon be importing those cars will be coming here. Yeah, and it actually makes sense. The latest network is 5G. Just build something for it, include it. Like, makes sense. And I love the portability aspect of this
router.
Yeah.
I saw it at the launch. It's not small. It's not small.
And also it needs electricity.
And
anyway.
it needs
That's the
electricity.
between it and the MiFi. Yeah.
But
but electricity coverage in Kenya is good because of inaitwaje hii stima mtaani.
Last mile.
Yeah.
But maybe even before we even start now enjoying 5G on mobile, maybe one thing you also need to see is now a lot of these smartphone companies now bring in more affordable 5G devices.
Talking of 5G affordable devices, remember the first time we discussed 5G, the most affordable phone was 80 something thousand. Right now, the most affordable 5G phone, guess.
How much is Infinix selling there?
Infinix.
Or Xiaomi with
Chenze.
No, Xiaomi has very
the cheapest 5G phone in Kenya
I
is
just know there is Nokia and Xiaomi competing for that slot.
Yes.
The cheapest 5G phone in Kenya is 23K to 25K from Xiaomi.
Oh.
The Redmi 10 5G. So I think in the next... And MediaTek has been very proactive on making 5G available to their low-end chipsets. So I'm guessing by next year, we will see a 5G phone for 15K.
So far, we have phones from Infinix, we have phones from Nokia, we have from Tecno, Oppo, Xiaomi. Those are 5. Yeah. Samsung, Apple, those are 7.
Yeah.
Who else is having
Vivo as 5G?
Vivo,
yeah.
Yes.
Realme, I think Realme brought a 5G. No, did they?
Realme did not.
Not yet. So we have at least 8 brands offering the devices on an official basis. So when you buy the device, you'll get local, the warranty that they honor, and with 5G. So that's something. You're already at 8. I think by then the next time we talk about 5G on this
the problem is taxation. The new taxes in Kenya are weird.
Yeah, and those devices are priced like the Vivo phone.
The Vivo phone is 57K. The Oppo 5G is 60K.
Yeah.
The Xiaomi phone, I think, is still the best deal. If you live in a 5G accessible area and you really want to test 5G on a phone, I think that will be a device to consider because it starts at 23,000.
And Xiaomi, I think I even saw you do that article. They have so many 5G devices.
They have a couple of 5G devices in the country already, but I think we've exhausted.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, it's been an interesting discussion, and if you're following this, we'd also want to hear what your thoughts are, what you think about the future of 5G in this country, even though that future is here now. What we're waiting to see is increased coverage, a lot more options in terms of devices. There are lots of device makers who focus on our market and who are holding on, trying to see how that goes. We have a Galaxy A33 5G, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so options are not limited. And in other markets, we did have a Galaxy A23 5G.
Yes.
Yeah. So we will see a lot of those devices.
I've even seen Texawa in Kenya unbox the A23 5G.
I did compare the A23 5G with
A23 or A33?
Yeah, it was A23 with when we were doing the comparison with the Tecno.
You got the A23?
Yes, I got the
A23. So it makes it available.
Yeah. So you see, we are getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. But our promise to you is the next conversation we're going to have, which is the episode after this one, we're going to share experiences using that specific router that we've talked about here. But we want to hear, one, if you've actually tried Safaricom 5G anywhere, what your experience is. 2, what you think about that router and its pricing and the delivery and service fee and all those things. And 3, if you think 5G Wi-Fi for home or 5G Wi-Fi for business is something you can use, if it's beneficial to you, and what else you want to see. Thank you for listening in. I'm Chenze Emmanuel. You can find more of my ramblings at 100kenya.com.
Dickson Otieno, techish.com.
And I'm Kanali from Tech Trends K. I actually have a very interesting interview I'm about to run on Tech Trends about with the Vice President of Qualcomm Africa, just talking about basically 5G in Africa and where we are heading. So also there's a shameless plug, so watch that out as well. Next week.
Yeah, Qualcomm are some of the pioneers.
Yes.
Qualcomm were pioneers for 4G. They held most of the patents for 5G. And then when it comes to 5G now, we've had Qualcomm as well as Huawei and other players. So is it Qualcomm or Qualcomm? Is it? Anyway, thank you for listening.
End the episode.